with some questions. Not only what are your thoughts on the situation in general, but also what do you think the punishment for this should be? And then, we need to talk about the so-called anti-diet movement, right? Because one, it has absolutely exploded in popularity over the past 2 years, but also two, an investigation by the Washington Post and the Examination just blew the lid off the lies being pushed by many of its most prominent voices. Now, a thing that I really want to stress right here at the top is that the anti-diet idea, it started out as a well-meaning cause, right? Just trying to combat weight stigma and counter the excesses of diet culture, with it commonly targeting people with eating disorders who genuinely need help learning to feel okay eating normal foods. But when the big food brands entered the mix, they hijacked the movement to promote their ultra-processed junk foods chock full of additives, sugars, and artificial sweeteners. And the way they spun this was so fucking clever. They didn't just blatantly encourage people to just eat stuff that'll literally kill them early. No. Instead, they framed this as derailing the cycle of shame around the choices people make. Or in other words, getting rid of the bad foods, that's less important than getting rid of bad feelings. A message that just so happens, oh, what a coinky-dink, to coincide with the financial interests of companies that sell bad foods. And so we've seen anti-diet hashtags spreading far and wide on social media. Stuff like no bad foods, food freedom, ditch the diet, health at any size, calories don't count. And the reason these hashtags work is that they piggyback off of the legitimate movement to stop body shaming. But of course, body shaming is not the same as food shaming. And food companies have taken that concept past the point of absurdity. They're seeing things like a General Mills executive saying a proposed FDA rule that would label foods high in salt, sugar, and fat is just shaming, and promising that they're doing everything they can to stop it, which according to the Post means lobbying the federal government and funding studies that claim their cereals are healthy. You know, and we're talking about the sugary ones like Cocoa Puffs, Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Trix. Which I gotta say, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, that's my jam. It's not healthy, but that's also why I treat it like a treat. Like it's a dessert for breakfast, and the idea that labeling things correctly so that your consumers are more well-informed, that is shaming. It's so stupid. It's also not a coincidence that a statement that stupid would come from General Mills, right? It's been leading the anti-diet charge with a huge multi-pronged campaign, with them getting at least 10 registered dietitians to promote its cereals on TikTok and Instagram last year. And understand, they are not hiding these efforts. They are boasting about them. Because you wouldn't expect a food and nutrition conference to have dietitians climbing up a giant General Mills cereal box and sliding into a bowl of Cheerios. That is literally a thing that happened at the event in Denver last fall. Of course, the cereals and food industries more generally have done the same sort of thing, with the Post and the Examination finding that of the 68 registered dietitian influencers they analyzed, roughly 40% of them with a combined reach of over 9 million followers repeatedly used anti-diet language, which depending on what exactly they said isn't necessarily bad on its own, but also a majority of that 40% were paid to promote products from food, beverage, and supplement companies. And with all this, you have the Post giving examples like how one woman fell upon YouTubers advocating for health at every size and took their videos as permission to eat, in her words, whatever the hell I wanted, with them reporting that she then did that, and within 2 months she regained 50 pounds that had taken her years to lose, with her going back up to nearly 300 pounds. And again, I would need to stress this. I am very anti-diet culture. I am very anti-body shaming. As many of you know, because I've talked about my health journey over the past several years, the thing that has worked for me the best is the idea of body neutrality. That is about what my body can do, not how it looks. And a big part of that has also been changing my relationship to food. Right? For me, there are no foods. It's just realizing that some foods, yeah, they're not good for you, but that doesn't mean I can't have them. I just have to have different amounts than I previously had. I used to order 4 or 5 Chalupa Supremes when I went to Taco Bell. It would be 9 o'clock at night and I would fucking house a whole box of Entenmann chocolate donuts, eating past the point of I'm full. Like I just wanted to feel something. And unfortunately, it took me having health problems to really go like, I gotta change how I'm viewing this situation. Because understand, you should not hate yourself for being any fucking size. In here, however you want to think about it, you are not more or less because of your size. You're a human being deserving of love. But it's also important to recognize the dangers of failing to take care of your body. And while there's no shortage of examples of that, I mean, according to a 2022 Lancet study, they found that nearly 500,000 Americans die early each year as a result of excess body weight. And many of the paths that were paved to those graves, it was from lobbying money. Because it's not in General Mills' interest for you to have their bad food, but only a reasonable amount of it. They want you to have more of it, all of it, as much as possible. So be careful what you believe on social media, especially when they're the extremes. Whether it be extreme diet culture or eat fucking everything and anything that you want culture. There is nuance. There are complexities that are just fucking cast aside because it's like, we gotta make this video tight. We gotta make this thing shareable. And it's in my best interest to keep you alive and healthy so I can milk the fuck out of you when you buy beautiful bastard shirts. I'm kidding, but I do love you. I'm just, once again, I'm just so fucking concerned for people. There's just so many like unseen forces of manipulation out there, whether it be for monetary or power gain. And the victim of almost every one of those situations is everyday people. And then we should talk about our douchebag of the day. Because I don't know if you needed another reason to think that it's a bad idea to get into the food industry, or if you're in the food industry, another reason to hate being in that industry. But we gotta talk about a Burger King employee who almost lost his life because he gave a customer a discount. A man was saving someone money, helping them, and somehow that person pulled a gun on them. And so all of this went down in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, with 38-year-old Howard Vernon telling Cleveland 19 News that he was just working at Burger King on Easter when all of a sudden a man pulls up and he orders 2 sausage, egg, and cheese croissants, a sausage biscuit, and hash browns. And that order ended up totaling a discounted deal of $8. But
he was like, my order can't be right. It came up to, it should be like $11. And I'm like trying to explain to him that we had a promotion going on and like it's cheaper. He started cussing and getting all loud, and I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know why you want to pay more money.
With that customer then driving off, but as Howard was helping another person in the drive-thru, he came back with surveillance footage showing him pulling a gun and Howard saying that they threatened to kill him and used racial slurs. And I mean, my man Howard is just incredibly calm for someone recounting an incident where he could have died over a breakfast promotion.
To know that somebody would do something like that just because I'm trying to give you a better deal and just to flip out like that, yes, I mean, it is scary. The whole time I was just like, well, if you're gonna do it, do it. Like, I'm not about to run. You don't scare me or anything like that. Just do what you gotta do. And he just kept blurting out racial slurs.
And Howard saying that it was extra wild because he was pointing the gun over the car of an older lady. But also, hey, part of the reason that I'm sharing this story is not only to crown our douchebag of the day, but also because if you live in Cleveland, Ohio, or near it, local police need help identifying this guy, and they've shared some photos of the incident on Facebook, and reports noting that the suspect was driving a gray Honda. And then, it's very easy to get into debt, which then makes it even easier to get yourself into more debt, to the point where you find yourself just watching money going out, but your balances aren't going down. And this can be a huge stress and anxiety trigger for just about anyone. Well, if this sounds familiar to you, today's sponsor, PDS Debt, has a program that rolls all of your payments into one low monthly payment. It is one low monthly payment based on what you can afford. PDS Debt is a top-rated company on Google with an A+ rating on the BBB. They offer options that allow you to pay off your debt in a fraction of the time, saving thousands in interest and fees. Everyone with over $10,000 or more in debt qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required. Plus, PDS Debt's giving you a free debt analysis. It just takes 30 seconds, and all you have to do is head over to pdsdebt.com/DeFranco. You'll receive a full breakdown on how to save on interest each month and the quickest way to take care of your debt. So just go to pdsdebt.com/DeFranco and get your quick and easy debt assessment today. Because it's time to regain control of your life and live for you, not your debt. And then 9 people are dead and well over 1,000 have been injured after a massive 7.4 earthquake rocked Taiwan today, with the epicenter being near Hualien County, which is on the eastern shore of the country and about 90 miles away from Taipei. But also because Taiwan's so small, I mean, it was felt pretty much everywhere. And hearing about the strength of this earthquake, it's one thing. To see it's completely different. And some of the footage from this is pretty crazy, like this poor guy who was stuck in a rooftop pool during it, which I mean, if that's me, that water's turning brown really quick. He's also really lucky he wasn't in this building's pool. But also clips like that, they show how well built Taiwan is, right? Because these buildings, they were getting violently shaken. Though that doesn't mean there wasn't damage. I mean, far from it. In Hualien, 48 buildings were seriously damaged, some even collapsed, with the authorities right now still trying to figure out the exact economic damage. I mean, at minimum, there's infrastructure to repair, which can quickly get into the billions of dollars. But at the least, right, there's small silver lining is that their major industries like semiconductor fabrication, they don't seem to have been affected. Though, of course, there is a death toll here. And hopefully it does stay at just 9, but also there are rescue efforts still underway, and there's still over 1,000 people dealing with injuries of different severities. And then on top of that, there's also roughly 70 miners believed to be stuck in a quarry because of the earthquake. And overall, the numbers we're seeing with this, they're kind of a mixed bag. But on one hand, a 7.4 earthquake is not a joke. And in many parts of the world, it would lead to much, much more damage. But Taiwan gets earthquakes all the time, and it's actually built for them. So we had some expecting the numbers to actually be lower. But this ended up being a massive exception that caught the authorities completely off guard. Most of their earthquakes are like a small jolt that makes you feel alive. And officials apparently thought this was going to be one of those same things as usual, and so they didn't send out alerts, which meant that people didn't get to safer places while they experienced the biggest earthquake Taiwan has seen in 25 years. Also connected to the situation, we saw world leaders reaching out to express their condolences for all the lives lost in Taiwan. And notably with that, netizens in China expressing their opinions on the situation. While most were well-intentioned and concerned about those affected affected, which it shouldn't be too surprising. Like the countries have, ties, cultural, linguistic, familial ones. Those were one, not completely unanimous takes, and notably two, in stark contrast to how China normally talks about Taiwan, because they're pretty militant about wanting to reunify the country, which is also why we saw some people making their well wishes political jabs at Taiwan. Right? Some suggesting that the PLA go in to support, which is a multi-layered jab. It's suggesting that the PLA invade while also repeating the Chinese rhetoric that Taiwan is just another province of the mainland, as the PLA often goes to Chinese disaster zones. You also had a fair share of people wishing only certain Taiwanese people be safe, saying, I hope everyone is safe except the Taiwan independent separatist forces. Or the more common, may the patriotic Chinese be safe. Because, there's no better time to be a petty political dickhead than moments after a natural disaster. Definitely not disgusting weirdo behavior. And then, so celebrities in Hollywood are freaking out about AI, and